Hi guys, day off today, so I thought I'd make a video. Picked up a couple of new things and I've been spinning some new stuff as well. But first off I want to say a few things. Firstly, thank you to Bill or Dave DiVerada for having such a great thread. It's not finished yet, but I've really found people's dislikes almost more interesting than their likes. You know, for whatever reason, I find people's reasons for disliking something far more interesting than their continuous this is great kind of attitude that the VC has. Everyone shows stuff that they think's great, and it kind of becomes a bit of a blur. I like being told about albums to avoid, or why people don't like things. You know, there's been the usual Beatles haters and Beach Boys as well. Actually, a lot of people have, well, not to say a lot, there's been a few people saying that they don't like Pet Sounds, which is their choice, but I find that really interesting. You know, it was mine's gone blank. Coleman. Sorry, I've forgotten what your first name is. I was speaking to him, you know, and I suggested listening to Pacific Ocean Blue because he said he didn't like the Beach Boys, and he had said that Tony had said the same thing, and you know, me and Tony, and I know there's other people out there that like that Dennis Wilson album, and yet to him it sounded like Eagles outtakes, which you know is fine, but I'm really interested in what's that line where one person thinks, you know, something's great and somebody else, you know, really doesn't like it. It's really interesting, you know, how, you know, people out there really dislike the Beatles, and you know, other people really like them, and is there a sense of they actually don't like them, or are they just disliking them out of a sense of wanting everybody else likes them, so I'm going to say I dislike them. It's a really interesting line, and then obviously the flip side of it is people also then get blinkered. You know, for a while there, certainly in the kind of late 90s, all I listened to was albums off the Warp label, you know, and you know, I got kind of blinkered into this, oh, if it's not Warp, you know, it's probably not going to be very good. And it's a kind of strange mentality that you almost get pigeonholed into. But I found it really interesting. It's been good, and yeah, it's people's reasons have been great. You know, well, in fact, some of them haven't even really had proper reasons. You know, they've just said they've not liked them, and you know, that's been fine. But it's yeah, it's really interesting. You know, how some people, you know, and wouldn't kind of moving on in the similar subject, but a different idea is how some people you wouldn't imagine them to be a band that would maybe be on their radar too much. For example, going back to the Beach Boys thing, you know, a band like Kraftwerk, you wouldn't expect the Beach Boys to be an influence and one of Kraftwerk's favourite bands, but they are. You know, and that kind of level of things, I find it fascinating. You know, so yeah. So thanks for having such a great thread. But anyway, I'm going to rattle through some of the things I picked up first. This is something that I haven't shown before. It's a book, it's not a record. I got this for my birthday back in April. I keep meaning to show it, but I keep forgetting. It's called Electric Banana, and it's Masters of Psychedelic Art. And this is basically contains stuff on Heinz Edelman. You probably know from the Beatles' Magic Yellow Submarine. There we go. Stuff. It's got Martin Sharp, who, obviously famously did a lot of work for Oz and did like the Cream covers. Who else is in that? Dudley Edwards. Don't know whether we can find anything in there. Dudley Edwards. Oh yeah, there's the Buick off the cover of that Kinks album. Who else is on here? Marek Koja from The Fool. Paul McCartney's piano. So here's some albums. It's got The Move. There's some Cream stuff. And there's Apple Shop. Some great photos in here as well. Check this out. Brilliant stuff. What else have we got in here? There's full. It's an incredible string band cover and stuff in here somewhere as well. And it's got Kishi Tanama as well. He's done a lot of stuff. Jefferson Airplane album there. Matty Clarwine as well, who's done a lot of jazz, did a lot of Miles Davis, Santana, Buddy Miles covers, Muddy Waters. Yeah, this is a fantastic book, and I can highly recommend it to anyone who's into that kind of artwork. But anyway, onto the records. It's already 7.5 minutes, far too long. I picked up this Francoise Hardy Sings About Love. I managed to get this off eBay for 99p plus postage. This is on Marble Arch, which bizarrely is one of my favourite, even though it's a budget label, it's probably my favourite budget label. It's Pi's budget label, so not only do you get all manner of kind of easy listening and the classical stuff, but there's also a lot of good stuff comes out of it, and that Francoise Hardy is obviously one of them. And continuing on from the kind of hip hop trip that I was on last week, that kind of evolved into trip hop via DJ Crush. This was my kind of segue into full-blown hip-hop, into my trip-hop stuff. This came out on Mowax in it must have been the mid-90s, I would guess. Can't actually see a date on it now. Yeah, 98. This came out. It's got this cool kind of flip open sleeve. This is great kind of downbeat hip hop. Not quite at the trip hop stage yet, but if you like DJ Shadow and things like that, DJ Crush would definitely be up your street, and I can recommend this. This is a great album. And that led on to some old Ninja Tune stuff that I was listening to. I'll not show that one yet, actually. This was also in that box. This is Up, Bustle and Out. The Breeze Was Mellow. This is an early release on Ninja Tune. Love that old Ninja Tune logo. This is verging on being trip hop. Could easily class it as trip hop. It's that. It's actually almost. I mean, trip hop's basically very downbeat hip hop, generally instrumental, or with female vocals. Sometimes they're male, but generally female, and it uses a lot more kind of jazz sampling than, say, hip hop would necessarily use. So yeah, I was listening to this. Another one I was spinning was 9 Lazy 9, Paradise Blown. This again is another early release on Ninja Tune. In fact, yeah, Zen 9, so it was the ninth release on the Ninja Tune album, Ninja Tune label. Again, this is actually almost kind of acid jazz kind of sound to it. But again, is that kind of trip hoppy, very downbeat. In fact, it says here that file under lazy jazz hip hop. So I think these all probably came out before trip hop was officially named. But I think they all came, certainly, I think these are Italian actually, but the Up Boss and Out, they were out of the whole kind of Bristol trip hop scene, which was pioneered by these guys. Coldcut. If it hadn't been for Coldcut, a lot of the early trip hop stuff probably would never have been released. They helped promote and push them. Obviously, a lot of the famous bands, that the most famous trip hop bands, probably Portishead and Tricky. Neither of which I think were on Ninja Tune, but Ninja Tune certainly helped promote it. This is again another one on Ninja Tune, Zen 30, and this came out in '97. So this is Coldcut's Let's Play album, which is fantastic, really good. Their whole kind of cut and paste mentality is really good, and they kind of do it with a bit tongue in cheek as well. And you probably only need to listen to more bits and pieces to, to understand what I mean. There's probably not many people that would dare having Prokofiev's Peter and the Wolf remixed in there or sampled. And also this track here, Timber, as well, is fantastic, really, really good. And of course, Coldcut were the band that I've shown before that were kind of dismayed by their record labels trying to pigeonhole them, which is why they started Ninja Tune as a kind of let artists do what they want label. And I think still to this day probably Ninja Tune is seen as one of those labels that if something's released on Ninja Tune you can pretty much guarantee it's going to be good or interesting anyway. So yeah, so they've been my real spins this week. Francoise Hardy, I really enjoyed, but I was kind of nervous of having to draw it in my book. This is the David Allen one. Did I show that? I can't remember if I've shown that or not. The David Allen one, that's the one I got last week. But there's my Francoise Hardy. She's actually come out surprisingly well. I thought it was going to be terrible, but I'm actually quite pleased how it's come out. And there's my Coldcut album. So that's it. Yeah, so nearly 15 minutes. Oh, I forgot, of course. Big shout out to Dark Dove Ben Costello, and of course Jimmy. That's going to be a whole other story that I'm going to save for when my package arrives. But it was so great to see you hooking up. I was disappointed that you were so close yet still so far away. Because it would have been great to be able to meet up with you. But yeah, so that's it. Over 15 minutes now, which is plenty long enough for anyone to sit and listen to me waffle on about junk. But I'm glad you do. And I love to hear your comments. So yeah, take care. And hi to Rob as well. Yeah, sorry to hear about your father. I know, although you obviously knew it was coming, it doesn't make it any easier. Yeah, my thoughts are with you at the moment, and I hope you're doing all right. And the same for Zeke as well, another person, VC member who's recently lost their dad. Yep. I've watched his video this morning. I watched a few videos this morning actually. There was a crop of good stuff. So, hi to everyone. Yeah, take care.